Well, Don, I remember one of the key things you told me when I first started was you could build just about any woodworking project with three major things: a table saw, a drill press, and one other thing.
And a router table. So years ago, decades ago, I built my first router table. It was pretty simple, just a piece of plywood, mounted the router up underneath it, and then I just used a 2x4 for a fence back then. Well, over the years, you want to add a few more features, and so we designed now this new router table.
Now, this router table has a lot of things going for it. Of course, like any router table, there's a top, but the key to holding up the top is what's underneath. And in this case, we built a heavy-duty cabinet out of MDF, created a lot of storage compartments to store just about anything you'll need for your routing operations.
Well, anytime you build a cabinet out of MDF, it's going to be heavy. Now, that's a good thing for the router table because you want that heaviness, all that weight, will absorb most of the vibration that you get with the router while you're routing, and it also tends to dampen some of the sound, the high-pitched sound from the router. So that's a good thing. Well, once you have the base built, now you can add on the router table top.
And there's a lot going on with this top. In this case, we built it out of 3 layers of plywood. Makes it a heavy-duty top, and there's a reason for that, which we'll see in a little bit. Now, a key thing is we put an insert into this table. That means you can mount your router, makes it easy to adjust and get in and out. Here at the front, there's a combination track. You can put a miter gauge in the slot up front, and then if you want to attach accessories like feather boards, there's a T-track along the back edge.
And then one more feature on the basic router table, and that is a fence. So we made a pretty heavy-duty fence, fully adjustable, dust collection on the back. So it works pretty well as a router table, but we couldn't stop there. In this case, we wanted to add one other feature.
And we made this a top. Instead of it being fixed, it's adjustable. Just loosen the knobs on the sides, and you can flip the top up into a vertical position.
So now the table is vertical, which means the router is horizontal, which means you can do routing in that horizontal position, but of course to support the workpiece, now we need to add on a table to support the workpiece.
Happen to have the horizontal table right here. Swing this in. There we go.
Okay, so you can see that this is a pretty heavy-duty construction for this table underneath and a heavy-duty top again. And it's all mounted with these pretty massive knobs that mount this to the regular tabletop. So let's get it off of here, and then we'll start to mount it. The knobs just fit in holes underneath here.
Snug them up tight.
So now we have a table mounted in the horizontal position with the router horizontal, so you can do all kinds of the horizontal routing operations.
Of course, you need to be able to adjust the table in relation to the bit. And we made that easy with this heavy-duty adjustment knob here underneath. You can turn it up or down to position things, and then lock the table in when you have it in the position you want.
So one of the things that's kind of common with this horizontal routing is to use these big raised panel bits. You've probably seen these massive bits. So it's good for doing raised panels, but it's kind of difficult when the router table is flat. You have to mount a big fence or something, hold a big panel vertically. Now you can just rest it horizontally. This bit would be buried down in here as you can adjust the height of the table, and you can bury the bit and make raised panels on this table now.
But what you see we have installed now is a straight bit. Now, I use straight bits a lot, especially for making mortises. So for this table, we have an accessory that comes in very handy, and it is a mortising jig. Now you can see it fits into the miter track here, slides back and forth for the length of the mortise, slides in and out for the depth of the mortise. But what's key is you want accuracy. So there's some stops that fit into the T-track portion of the track here. You can lock those in. So I'll start at one end, route in until it touches the table, route to the length of my mortise, bring it back out. What you end up with is an accurate mortise, whether you're doing 1 or 20.
So pretty cool to take a basic router table that started out years ago as just a piece of plywood with a 2x4 on it for a fence. Now it does all these things. So it's kind of 3 tables in one. You have the horizontal table in the normal position with a fence. You can turn it to the vertical so you can add now another horizontal table for horizontal routing, and then finally add on this mortising jig on that table. So it's a pretty cool table, a lot of work to get it done, so let's get started. We'll get in the shop and we'll start with the base.